Welcome to the Your Music Industry podcast.
The podcast that gives you a direct route into the music industry's greatest minds. Your Music Industry is proudly brought to you by the Liverpool Audio Network with your host, Daniel Fisher-Jones.
Welcome to this week's episode of Your Music Industry. Thank you for tuning into this episode with a very, very special guest. I'm excited for you to hear all the content of this episode and especially the last item that our guest touches upon. With myself previously experiencing heavy financial stress and burnout, it was great to hear a well-established and well-rounded artist touching upon not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Today's episode has a different type of sponsor. As a thank you to you for being a part of the Your Music Industry story and listening to the podcast, we've teamed up with Make Your Transition to give you the opportunity to win a place on their brand new mixing course. I'm a big fan of the Make Your Transition online courses. Finish more music and market your music are insanely valuable. If you fancy a chance in winning the mixing course, head over to yourmusicindustry.com/giveaway to sign up. We'll be announcing the winner on Wednesday the 27th of March on episode number 13 of Your Music Industry. So make sure you head over to yourmusicindustry.com/giveaway to sign up and be in the chance of winning. Time to introduce today's very special guest. Before his show at Rhythm Liverpool on the 1st of March at Meraki, we sat down with London-based innovator and curator Asquith to explore his journey, the Lobster Theremin story, and his thoughts on careers and culture in electronic music. We recorded this episode straight after his Melodic Distraction set, so make sure to check out his set online at Melodic Distraction. Whether you're a fan of his music, Lobster Theremin, or only just discovering his creative world of electronic music, get set for an extremely insightful and thought-provoking episode with the one and only Asquith. Welcome, Asquith, to the Your Music Industry podcast, or Jimmy, or a lot of...
Yeah, you can call me Jimmy, it's fine, because Asquith's my last name, so it's a bit odd if you keep calling me by. Yeah, just call me Jimmy, it's fine.
So it's interesting to delve into your world of electronic music, having a few different artist names, obviously being head honcho of Lobster Theremin Records. Could you talk me through your journey into the music industry and how you've got to here today with all the different music genres?
Yeah, it's kind of a strange one, really. I mean, I'll work backwards, I guess. So basically, when I was at university, that's when I properly actually got involved in music. So I was originally in a band in my first year of university, and basically at some point wanted to do a gig, and a lot of the promoters in Newcastle were very much pay to play. You know, you pay them, they put you on, then they charge all your mates, and it was like a bit of a, it's a total rip. And this was going on quite a lot, I think, in the sort of mid-thousands in uni towns and stuff. So I was like, well, why don't we just do it ourselves? We met some of the bands that were in the rehearsal room. So I kind of took a bit more of a lead on sorting this out. So there's a pub up the road called the Dog and Parrot. So I just dropped in and knew they had bands on, and I was like, oh, could we hire out the room upstairs? What's the deal? Worked it all out. And then we did this gig, and just from sort of running the event, and, I was playing music between the bands off a two slide-in CD decks. There was no, it was just one on, one off kind of thing. They literally had drives that came out of a rack unit. And just, I guess after that, I really got the itch for not just being involved in, say, the creative side, being in a band or just making music. I was really kind of enraptured by the idea of being involved in the logistics and the organising side, and I got a real itch off the back of that. And so I started to do kind of monthly gig nights, and then off the back of that started to get into club nights as well. So a couple of years later, started running club nights, and I met Paul Patterson, who runs Of Paradise Dispatch, and we became good friends then. I was still studying. He'd just finished university in Manchester and had come back to Newcastle. And then from there, kind of did a load of stuff in Newcastle, did more nights. We had Elvis 1990 play in an underground pub, because we were seeing all these nights that were going on in London at the Old Blue Last and I guess the Macbeth, and it was like a club night, but it's in a pub, and there was something really appealing about that as well. And in Newcastle, a lot of people who did electronic music always kind of used like either like clubs if they had quite a bit of money, or like tacky bars, and we were just like, we just want to find a crazy little space and put a PA in it, and like literally it was in the Northumberland Arms, and the decks were right next to the beer taps, so you could pour your own beer, like if you were DJing. So it was just like, you know, they just kind of lifted up a chunk of like the side of the bar, so you were just like, yeah, and then just like, so it was, and it was super good fun. It was, you know, those are some of the best days, but it was like, wasn't very good at promoting and, you know, kind of cutting my teeth, just kind of getting into it. And then I kind of lost quite a bit of money doing nights, as pretty much everyone does, I think. Moved to London, said I would never promote a night again. And then I think within like 9 months, I'd started a night called Streets of Beige at the Old Blue Last. But it was fine because it was free. We got a budget. It was low stress. But then within a short space of time, started putting up money again and losing money and doing nights. After a little bit of doing that, I got taken on to be a booking manager of the Rhythm Factory, which used to be a club in Aldgate. It's not there anymore. It's now a pizza restaurant. But it was amazing. I mean, they kind of built their name off the back of like London indie. So like the Libertines used to play there all the time. Kind of then morphed into a bit more of like a drum and bass music club. And then I kind of programmed lots of house and techno to kind of go alongside this. So it was a wicked club. Like it was really, I mean, I work at Corsica Studios now, and I'd say the Rhythm Factory was the only thing that I felt came even close to being what Corsica Studios was. Yeah. It was like a 500-person club. There were 2 club rooms. It was just like, you know, everything was painted black. It was just like a dark warehouse. It was loud and amazing. So, and it could also have live music and club music, which I think is really important for a venue. Yeah. Like, you know, it's nice to have a bit more of a hub. So yeah, and then I worked for a number of other promotion companies, worked at Christina Records, went and started working at Corsica Studios, and then in and amongst all this, I started Lobster Theremin. And then after about a year, I left Christina Records and I was just self-distributing Lobster myself. And then about 6 months after that, the distribution started. And that's kind of that path. It was mainly in events, short time working in record shops. And then, the label just kind of pulled me out of everything, really. I mean, I was still working at Corsica and I still work there now, actually. I don't really want to let that go. I spent, 12 years throwing money down a well on underground music, and now I finally got a night that really works, and I really love it as well. There's something about events you really can't. There's something about it you can't get from anything else. It's the immediacy, but it's also like the end point. Like the record's not the end point. The end point is when the record is taken into its natural, where it's made to be played, and is then played in and amongst, everything else for the people who are there. Like that's the final destination of music. And also, there's this huge risk element. It's totally different. When I started to put out records, I was like, Christ, this is easy. Like, so different to doing events. It's like so much more like predictable in a way and manageable. But with events, it can be very sudden. And, there's been a few shocks over time where, I've kind of been stung and, ended up losing quite a bit of money. And I know that can happen with releases, but it just has a bit more of a, it's not just like one shot and it's done. You might still have the records there. You can kind of work something out to try and make some money. But the event is just, it's like
there
boom
and
and it's done. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very momentary.
So Lobster Theremin, what was the kind of like initial motivation for you to start it? Was it to help kind of the underground scene release music into the world, or?
I guess I was like most of the labels I was really excited by tended to be newer labels that were pushing unknown artists. When I was programming club nights and putting on nights as well, I only really wanted to put on new artists. Like I wasn't too interested in things that were more established because it was already kind of done. My job was always kind of on the fringes and giving someone a platform to enter or to kind of start that journey. Yeah. And I applied the same thing to records. I was a massive fan of a lot of labels that would push, new rock. Like I'd see a new name and just be like, I want to know what this is. I want to know, this was a time of like, say like Lies, Firecracker, Trilogy Tapes. Guess you had like Workshop was a bit more established, Debt Mantle as well. But even some of these were considered still quite niche, even though they've been going a few years.
Yeah.
You had like Raw Wax came about as well with all the Chai Wax series and Dub Wax and everything else, and it's all this coloured vinyl, and you're like, oh my god, what's going on? Like it's like this crazy maze of stuff. You turn up every week at the record shop and there'll be a new one, and you're like, I want a bit of that. Come on, like, and it was that thing of just like, weekly record shopping, new releases, kind of just kicking it out, and it being really kind of visceral and exciting, and lots of new music and new ideas. And I felt like that, especially at the time, that was really underrepresented in, if not Europe, just especially like London and the UK. Like there just weren't that many. There were nowhere. I mean, obviously nowhere as many labels as there are now, but just so many people involved in music were not running labels. It wasn't really as much of a thing. And I guess I'd been friends with Jay Donaldson, Palms Tracks, for quite a few years. And then one night when we got smashed and we went back to mine and we were playing tracks, and then he just played this one track and I was just like, what is this? And he was like, oh, that's me. And that was Equation. And I was just like, man, we've got to put this out. Jay's always been very, he's quite... he's quite self-deprecating, so he was like, oh, no one's going to buy this. And I was like, definitely will. So we kind of worked together to put together a release. I kind of worked on the concept for Lobster Theremin. It took a while to get together. We actually did a label night at the old Shoreditch station, and we both played all night. That was like a year before his release came out, and we already had the logo. So it took a good year and a half to like from concept to finished.
That's a long period of time.
Yeah, but it was just it wasn't like it is now. It was just very like you could be that slow and just kind of take your time. We wanted to take our time with it. I mean, the Equations kick drum was a 707 right up until like the month before it went off the master, and then he changed it to an 808, and it was like, yes, that's loads better. Actually, I've still got the 707 version somewhere. It's great. It's still really punchy and really nice. But that was just like it just finishes that track
Yeah, just
off.
glued it all together.
Yeah, definitely.
As a label that's kind of supporting the underground scene and helping facilitate new talent gain traction and grow themselves and grow their catalogue with releases, is there any approaches you found with artists that have approached you that have really worked for getting signed to your label, or is there anything you've seen that you think, no, try not to do that when approaching a record label?
Oh, there's probably very few of the former and tons of the latter. For me, I'm every label is different. For me, I'm very, very specific. I don't really take much on like requests, like stuff that's sent to us. And if we do, it is so random. Yeah. It's so like, I'll just open the inbox, I'll see something that sounds good based just on its name or some image, something through SoundCloud. It's always been really random, the things that have come through there. It's just when I'm in the mood really to kind of go through. I don't spend a lot of time digging through them. There's just such a volume of music now, it's almost impossible. But yeah, or it generally comes through social media, or something will pop up and I'll be like, oh, I'll check that out, or, through a group and I've never heard something before. And there were a lot of new music groups, not the new music group, but there were a number of groups for like, kind of new and unsigned producers. And I was in them and I was just kind of like lapping up all the stuff that people were posting. Cause I was like, this is literally where this is the stuff I want to listen to. So my process is quite specific. Obviously, start to go back to other artists we've signed a little bit more recently. Quite keen to slow things down a little bit, just because we did sign a lot of music. On the other side, when you talk about people submitting music, the right way to do this. So I think just as a general thing, if you're going to email, the general thing is this: you're going to email a label, send a very concise explanation of what it is, of who you are and what you're doing, like a short paragraph. Make sure the make sure the subject title actually makes sense. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, or can just be like an artist name and demos. Private SoundCloud link, 6 to 8 tracks or 6 to 10 tracks. Make them downloadable individually. Make sure your name's on all of them. Make sure you also send a download link to a zip of 320 MP3s. Some people, so many people send WAVs. I get it. You want people to hear the best quality music, but internet connection is not always, it's not always possible. And if people want it, they'll ask for the WAVs. Like, they're not going to be in some audiophile echo chamber just being like, oh my God, I can't believe you sent them in 320, And then, make sure that they've all got your artist name on, they're all tagged properly. Put some engaging imagery in there. I don't want to open SoundCloud and see some your taste in imagery and your taste in music are it's that boundary that can often, it's an artistic expression, and often labels want to see a bit of both. I can get beyond the imagery side. It's just that when I'm trying to get through something, I want to see something good as well. I want to see that someone's got a crossover in taste. That's why I listened to the Ozale B tracks, because he just had this. In fact, the image we used for his first release, the cover was I'm pretty sure it was his profile image when he sent the tracks. He sent those 4 tracks in that order, and it's the only release I think I've signed like that where I was like, yes, I finished listening and was like, this is the release. That's the artwork. It almost made it really easy to just do it. And it was because it made sense. He was a fan of the label, and it's well, of course you are. We have similar taste in this. I can already see that, that there's an overlap. And Luke is, I met Luke, and he's a great guy. And that's the thing. It's it's surprising. I was talking to Rosie, who works on the label, started working on the label with me at the end of last year. She used to be on the distribution. We did say, she was she said it's really amazing how many people, that all the people on the label are so lovely. And it's really weird. It's she was so a filter through art, or just something that people get. And it shows that if you carve your ethos in the right way and find those overlaps, you can end up supporting not just the right art, but the right people. Yeah. Sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent.
Oh no, I love that.
But yeah, that's the thing. And it's make sure the way you express yourself as a label is genuine, and then you might find more genuine artists. And then when you're looking through demos, you can often see that certain things aren't right for people, or you can see where people are in the journey. It's obviously we got hammered with a lo-fi house tag for a good couple of years, which was, just the press getting excited and trying to repackage something. Yeah. It didn't really sum up the majority of our catalogue, really. We had loads of techno and electro and ambient and, kind of weird house and all these other things. And it was you get people sending you stuff, being like, here's my lo-fi house demos. And you're like, but, have you listened to, or they're like, hey, I thought you'd like these tracks. It's no, send me all the tracks. You know where the label's at now. You don't know where it's going, or you may only know a part of the catalogue. You may not know about the other, 12 labels that we run that you don't know about as well. There's this whole little
network,
visible and invisible universe. So I think that's the thing. It's about not limiting yourself, trying not to try and tailor what you send, but don't try and limit it, which is a bit of a fine line, I think. But I don't know. Just try and make sure that you are doing it genuinely, and that your own musical assessment of the label you're sending your own music to is make sure it makes sense. Yeah. Don't just send it because you like the label.
Awesome. On the topic of music production, you obviously make music under 3 names, or 3 that I know of. You've got Asquith, Tom Hang, and Chicago Flotation Device. Mm-hmm. What are the benefits of releasing music under 3 different artist names? As obviously that must be a lot of work, building the brands, building their names.
They're all, to be honest, they're all totally different and from different periods of time. So Tom Hang was, I used to do a live kind of ambient beats techno project when I came to London, which was about 10 years ago. That morphed into becoming like Tom Hang just before I started the label. I made a load of tracks, sent them out to people, and then when I started the label, I got too busy to make music. So Chicago Flotation Device isn't just me. I'm only one part of it. It's me, Mance, and Palms Tracks. We all make music using computers, but this is just us all playing live using hardware and no computers. So it's the complete opposite of how we make music. So that was that project, and it was just us. It was us going out. It was us going out on the weekend and Monday nights and having fun, and then getting up hungover the next day, going for like a brunch or a Sunday roast, and then coming back to mine and just jamming and during the week a little bit as well. And we made like all that music was made, like all 4 records were made before Lobster Theremin even started. So that music is almost like a retrospective. And it's funny. I mean, obviously Jay did Palms Tracks, moved to Berlin, so it was more me and Joe for a while. But it was quite funny how many gigs we got to play in like some ludicrous venues as well. You know, we played in like we played after who was it? So we played live after, like immediately after Virgo, was it Virgo 4 who played live at Village Underground, which is like this 1,000 cap venue in London. And we played like immediately afterwards, and it was like one of, 2 sets that year. And like the thing about it is me and Joe used to have to get together and like just plug everything in again, just redo the whole set and just be like, right, okay, because we don't have that many presets. We had a few things. We have to work everything out. Yeah. We'd always buy a new bit of gear as well. Like we'd use some of the fee to be like, oh, let's get another thing. So you just got this ever-evolving starship of like, like kind of like budget MIDI gear and like weird little synths. Because I've never sold a single piece of gear in my life.
Wow.
Or a record, actually. So I'm a bit of a hoarder, really. I just stockpiled everything. Had some of those synths for like 12, 13 years. Wow. But they were so cheap when I got them the first time. Like I've got a Yamaha CS5, it was 125 quid. I think they go for like 400, 500 quid now. But it was just like, I don't know, there's just this like this little arsenal of gear to play live with, and it just comes about. It's like, it's like brushing off the cape to go out again and do one more like, one more, like adventure.
So with the Asquith sound, do you regularly use the same gear, or is it different every time with having this whole like inventory of hardware? So I don't use any gear for the Asquith stuff. Okay. It's just using a computer. But now I have 2 computer setups, and they're both different. Yeah. One is one is just my laptop. So I literally use like bare bones Ableton Suite with a couple of like free plugins and odd little bits of samples, but like not, I'm kind of like, I mainly make music when I'm traveling, like on a train or on a plane or something. So just do that. And then I recently got a desktop at home and was like, oh, sick, I'm going to make like a really nice little setup in the living room. Got this new IKEA desk, like put everything up. Got some new, like I've got my first new pair of monitors since I was at university. So that'd be like 13 years. Wow. And I've always wanted a pair of Yamaha, the HS like series. So I got the HS8s, and when they arrived, they were just fucking massive. Like I was just like, oh shit, like how am I going to do this? Like I don't even know that these stand, like there's like 3 stands, and it's like, I mean, these are going to wilt like as soon as I put it on. But it was fine. They fit on the desk, so I was like, cool. And I was like, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set up like all this hardware, like get everything linked, like perfect, like little setup, really nice. I had a few new bits like the Electron Rhythm and like TR8 and a few other things, a little desk, like my Zox box for acid things, and the Korg Minilog, and a bunch of pedals and a few other things.
plugged everything in, perfect, all MIDI synced, all works great, straight from the computer, like just sat and made a track with like samples and plugins and like just didn't like, or like I did have a go with it and then I was just playing one loop for like 3 hours and was like, oh, this is amazingly fun, but I have not written a track, I've just been jamming. So I think that's the thing, it's like my process with music in general is just to, you can end up getting so self-conscious as an artist and a producer that I think that can end up hindering you massively when it comes to wanting to get your music out there and to do with your relationship with your own music. So what I did is I decided quite a long time ago that I would make music just for me. So I would make music that I enjoy the process of making music, find it very therapeutic. I just want to make music that I enjoy. Like I it's so funny because my mum and dad were visiting recently, and like my mum was really laughing because she's like, you just sit in the chair and you're like rocking like, like with the headphones on, and it's just like head banging away, and it's like you shouldn't be. I mean, obviously I make like techno and house and like dance music, but it's like I don't want to make something that doesn't make me want to move. And I think that was a real key for just going out and breaking down like a load of boundaries in terms of what could have stopped me from doing it. It's like, I'm going to make music that I like. I'm not going to go through like 8 different, I can't revisit projects really. I can arrange them and tweak them, but I can't keep going back over them. I just need to do it and it's done. I think some people can drive themselves into the ground overthinking everything, and that's just not me. I just want to get it out there, and it's like I just want to write good tracks that I enjoy, put together creative concepts. I love releasing my own music, so I get to put little twists on things, and I get to control that and do what I want to do. And I don't know. I think it's important as an artist to have a strong relationship to your own music. To not hate your own music. So many artists are it's been 2 months. Oh, this is rubbish. I'm so much better now. And it's like, what define better? What you now have to do parallel compression now. So apparently, like the mix is more powerful. Or are these tracks still really well written? And you should accept the fact that their imperfections are what make them great. And I think if you can do that as an artist, it'll give you more confidence going forward. I still, being honest, and like I still really enjoy all my music. Like, and it sounds a bit daft, but it's like I love playing it out. It's very genuine. My connection to it is that I enjoy it. I think that's an important step as an artist. Definitely is to kind of make peace with that whole process. Stop making music for other people. There might be music for a purpose. You might want to. On the more cold and calculated end, someone might have been making ambient music and they might want to do a techno project. They might want to have a DJ career and do all these things. So it's like, yeah, do that, but like make something that you enjoy. Don't make what other people tell you is different or is samey or is this or is that. Like just do what you do and like believe. Just push it as well. Just be like. Someone's like, oh, I think this. And it's like, well, I don't give a fuck. It's not for you. It's for me. Like, so why do, just like, that's the thing. It's like, try and find this, like, this confidence and power in that confidence to be able to push yourselves forward and find other people who, who share in your love of music and like actually, find these people who are like, I guess like selfless, like people who push other people. I really like to push other artists, but I had to make a decision in the last year that I would start to narrow the number of people I worked with in all areas of music, based on people who actually appreciated what I was doing for them. That doesn't mean they'd have to do anything for me. It's just that I actually was doing a lot for some people, and they were just complaining, and you're just like, what? Just finding positive people who, like, at the very minimum, bring like positive vibes back into your life, like, and basically who give you the energy to want to do this more for others and for yourself. And I think that's a very like important thing. You've got to, you know, shed any guilt about doing things for yourself. Like, you know, give yourself a chance, give other people a chance, and like all enjoy that process. Be honest about what it is. Try not to put anything on a pedestal. Try not to put anything out of reach, and just be totally honest about what it is you need to do to achieve the thing you want to achieve and to be happy, and go for those things.
So what do you think about Jimmy's thoughts of appreciating and loving your own music? As a music maker, I used to heavily suffer with being overcritical of my own music, which in turn meant I didn't have my own confidence to promote it and push it into the world. If you make music and struggle with the world of mixing, whether you want to gain more practical knowledge or learn where to start, don't miss out on our giveaway of Make Your Transitions new online course. We are giving one lucky listener a place on the mixing course. If you want to be within the chance of winning the course, head over to yourmusicindustry.com/giveaway to enter. Anyway, back over to the conversation with Asquith. You obviously release a lot of music as well as perform live. You perform live all over the world, including Europe. Even next month, you're in Poland and Germany. With your approach to DJ sets, do you have that same thing in mind where you are kind of performing for yourself, or is it a mix of the crowd reaction?
It's definitely a mix. I like to have a chat with the promoter before the gig, because what I realised quite quickly early on is that what I play and also the label means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. You know, you see some artists you see like play a lot in the UK and they kind of get known in the UK. We were sort of known for like earlier on, I'd say more like house in the UK. And then in Europe, like everyone knew all the techno stuff. Like we get booked to play these, like, you know, there'd be literally all these techno DJs in us, and we're like, right, okay, that's cool. But like, you know, it's funny because things do mean different things to a lot of people. So you're just like, you know, what's the vibe of the club? Can I play whatever I want? And people are sometimes like, you know what, everyone's here for house. And it's like, doesn't mean you can't push them, but you kind of start to form a better understanding of who you're playing to and how, you know, how you can kind of set the boundaries. Like at the very basic level, it's like people are here for a night out. They're here to have fun. They're not just here to hear the same thing, but, you know, you should take that solid bedrock and throw your own style at it, and then start to experiment around it and start to play and see what people are into. You know, that's I think that's the best way, is to be a bit more informed. You know, I know there's this other side of things, which is people being a bit more selectorsy or doing their thing or being a bit strange, and it's like, you know, no one cares how weird or like hyper credible the record is that you're playing. Like, you know, they want to dance with their friends and have a gin and tonic and have a really good night out. More so than not, if you are booked to play like strange, you know, more strange, that's fine. But it's just understanding what it is that you are there to do. At the end of the day, you're a DJ who has been booked to do a job, and it's important to understand maybe what the entire purpose of your presence there is. If it's to do exactly what you want, and people are just like, you know, you need to go on your journey. If they're wanting something that's a bit more strange, if it's just like, you know, this is a techno club, like no one wants to hear house. And yeah, start from there and just kind of test the boundaries.
So will that be happening tonight at all? Because we are unfortunately running out of time.
No, it's fine, no worries.
We're ahead of your set at Rhythm tonight in Liverpool in Meraki.
Yes, indeed.
How are you approaching that tonight? Has Lewis from Rhythm mentioned anything about that sound?
No, I've not spoken to him yet. I kind of had a look at some of the things that they were posting, so I get a feel that they're probably into like techno as much as they are house. A few people downstairs mentioned My Mistake, which I feel like there's an overlap between what I play and I guess that sort of like more ravey, slightly more trancey sound. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to chat to him tonight, get a feel for it. But I think with it being 2 till 4, I kind of want to play quite pacey. Just to say, a lot of the sets I've been playing recently have got up to like 150. the next release I've got coming out, the A side is an 11-minute 150 BPM like trance techno thing, and I basically was like, there's this sort of 10 BPM thing between 140 and there, and I could get to 143 and could never quite bridge that 7 BPM kind of gap. So I basically made an acid tool that starts at 126 and then in the middle speeds up to 150 if I also want to jump there, and that's on the B side of the record. So if people are like, how am I going to play 150, it's like, you've no excuse, the tool is there on the B side, so you can do it. Yeah, I want to go fast. Like I've done it a few times and people get really excited because I think the music is functionally made for that BPM. Just to say, it wasn't intentional. The track, sorry, I've gone off on a real tangent here, but basically I made the track at like 142 and I was like, it just doesn't sound, there's this one bass line that's a bit more transient, it's like, and it just didn't sound right that slow. And I was like, I'm going to close my eyes and keep speeding it up until it sounds right. And I was like, yes, that. And it was like, shit, it's 150. And it's like, sweet, let's do it. Let's just give it a go. It's exciting hearing more faster BPMs and people experimenting with things, but it's not for the sake of it. It's, you know, it's exciting. We'll see anyway. Yeah. I'll see after I chat with Lewis. He might be like, no, don't do that.
So before my final question, I've got one more, and it could be on a local scale, a national scale, or international. So what change would you like to see in the music industry in, say, the next 3 to 5 years?
Ooh. How long have you got?
Yeah, we got a bit of time.
So I certainly think like much more, a much larger amount of effort and like being put into there being more diversity in the DJs that are booked, the producers that are released, the individuals that are visible in this industry and also involved in it. I'm gonna take a point that Rosie Morris made. So Rosie from Lobster just started a new night and she did an interview and she talked about tokenism, and she made one point in it, which is she was like, it's great that people are now starting to book women, but what can get frustrating is when you've got like these 10 hyped white women who are just, you know, playing all the nights, and it's like, you know, the people involved in curation need to get more active and they need to get better at, like, they need to dig deeper and they need to be better at finding talent. You know, that's something very close to my heart, has always been A&R. It was like, I'd say over the last 5 years, it was Rosie who's like, together we've encouraged each other to do like much better. We've become a very effective team, both because we work together at Lobster Theremin and we work together at Corsica as well. And that's the thing, it's really frustrating when you see that there's this massive talent pool and some people might be like, oh, you know, but, you know, they might just say that it's almost like they're just not looking. And I'm just like, there are so many, there is such a diverse like array of incredible artists, and like I just think there needs to be more effort, and I think the people in positions of responsibility and power when it comes to curation like need to get more knowledgeable and need to start to get out there a bit more
and to take more risks.
Yes, indeed. What else would I like to see? I would like to see more. I would like to see the class divide bridged much better. I'd like to see more working class people in electronic music. I'm not going to lie. It's quite astounding how much of the industry is just purely middle class. I don't know. I just feel like there needs to be more opportunities for maybe people who don't feel as confident or don't feel as expectant, or I don't know, just with not as high a level of privilege. I think with this increased privilege in the industry at the minute, I mean, you know, I am based in East London, so maybe this is just my immediate visibility that is contributing to this. I do think it is really important to address this. One thing that seems to have changed with the influx of more privileged individuals, as people seem to expect to have a certain thing in this industry. It's, you know, like they feel entitled to an artist's career or entitled to a DJ career, or, you know, like that all these things that they should be there, and that, you know, X amount of effort equals Y amount of achievement. And it's like, this is not the industry for that. This isn't how it works. I've spent a lot of my time observing and kind of battling with very skewed expectations now. And I think what needs to be realised, taking class out of this and just going to the industry in general now, that this is not this was an underground 7 years ago, and now it is an industry. DJing and like being a DJ is now visibly a career path and a profession. You know, people are booked for being DJs, not just for being producers. The mechanics around that have changed. You know, being a DJ is not just, you know, that's the thing, there are lots of enjoyable DJs. I don't really put DJing on a pedestal. I think it's great, but there's a lot of people complaining, be like, why are these people getting ahead? Why are these people doing this? People getting upset about maybe the more visual sides of those, or people who put effort into, do you know what, being like a public figure and a bit of a brand. And it's like, but that's the essence of, it is, yes, we are going out and playing an underground, inverted commas, music, but also, you know, there is like a fan base, and there is like an appearance, and people get inspired by individuals, and there is this, you know, this whole thing around, you know, people being artists and being a brand. And because it is now an industry, all these factors have come into play. So let's just make that point. Artists educating themselves better in how the industry works, being honest about what it's going to take to achieve their goals, and just being honest with themselves about whether they can do that or not, whether they're willing to compromise. I'd also like to see, I'd like to see artists, and I'd like to see artists have a second profession that they love, and that they're working towards whilst they do this. You know.
Yeah, that's it. I've never heard that before. So that's really interesting to hear, because it also.
You know, I mean, my own path was that I just locked away that dream of being a DJ or producer for a long time. It took me until the middle of last year to accept that I might be a professional DJ, to give you an idea of how deep I locked that away.
Yeah.
Whilst that is maybe to an unhealthy level, I think it's important that people pursue something else as well, and that they make, you know, that it just sets you up better for life. Like, don't put all your eggs into being just an artist, or, you know, it's great, but it is, in many ways, it is such a privilege to be able to do that if you manage to get there and then even sustain that, which, you know, there's always going to be ups and downs. And in the downtime, you want to have something sick to do. Like, you know, you want to have pursued something else. You don't just want, you know, say the bottom to potentially drop out and there just be, oh, what am I going to do now? You know, find something else you want to do and enjoy it, and like pursue that as an aside to this thing. You know, it'll also give you something else that you want to do. It might give you something else to occupy your week. You know, it might be that, yeah, you're doing 1 or 2 gigs a week, but, you know, it might be during the week, you know, all your friends at work, you want to do something else. It's like, you know, get involved. Like, you know, I just think it's super important. I think it's a much more mature way of setting yourself for a longer career and like a more fulfilling life, like in general, whilst we navigate this turbulent industry.
And a lot of less financial stress there too.
Yeah, totally. That's the other thing. You know, if for any reason there's a slow month or things slow down, like you've got something else there, and like you've got a bit of stability, you've got somewhere that you go to meet people, you've got something else to apply your mind to aside from music. You know, it's like, it's great. I'm sure that some people just want to do this all the time and full time, and that is totally fine, but make sure there is something you're either learning or training in, or you've got going alongside it. So important, I think. But I'm glad that's not glad it's not been raised before, but hopefully that'll become quite a pertinent point for this, because it is the thing that's basically, I'm putting together a massive advice sheet for all the artists that I work with at Lobster, and it's taking so long because there's so much in it. I would like to, on the side, I would really like to do some sort of book or resource for people, because I just think there's so many things that everything has changed so much, like that there needs to be a stronger resource for people. Also, I'm sick of seeing like really bad social media, like terrible embedded links and things like that. So like, just come on, make the feed look nice. Come on, make it good. Come on, make it enjoyable. Just use a picture of Doge if you're unsure.
Well, on that note, I'm afraid we've got to cut it
fine.
there. So
no worries.
Where can people find you online?
Where can they find me online? So most of my handles are basically Asquith with 5 H's. So it's ASQUITHHHHH. And that's on like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud. And that's my email as well at gmail.com. So I've got the 5H vibe going on. So, managed to standardize everything.
Fantastic.
On the same breath, for any other artist, that just makes your life much easier, because you can just be like, at this, and that's for everything. Anyway, so you can go on there and check it out. I'm announcing a new release next week, the fast trans techno thing I spoke about. I'm also going on a world tour as well. That gets announced next week. And more releases throughout the year, tons of Lobster stuff. And if anyone's ever in London, like, come and say hello to the team at Lobster Records. The distribution's in the back, so all the team are there. So just
we'll pop down when we get to London.
Do it. Yeah. I'm not always, but there's always a Lobster to entertain you, and like the whole team are amazing. They're so good.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for being a part of the podcast.
No, it's fine. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
What a seriously insightful episode with Asquith. There's so many topics on this episode that I just could have never anticipated coming up when preparing for it. So make sure to let me know what you think over on social media with hashtag #YourMusicIndustry or at Liverpool Audio. If you're on Instagram, make sure to follow our podcast-only Instagram account at Music Industry Podcast. Don't forget to enter our giveaway of the Make Your Transition Mixing course by signing up over at yourmusicindustry.com/giveaway. We're back on Monday with our next Your Music Industry know-how on the world of DIY distribution. So if you're interested on learning how you can release your own music without a record label, make sure to check back up on Monday. Until then, have a great week.